Brought to you by My 11 Circle. Play with champions. Download the app now.
A very good morning to all of you joining us all the way from India. We are live here from the Basin Reserve Museum, the New Zealand Cricket Museum here in Wellington. Present today is the captain from Black Caps, Mr. Kane Williamson. Just a reminder for everybody who's joining us to kindly put yourself on mute. We will begin shortly. And should you have a question for Kane, kindly use the raise the hand function. But before you begin, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself and proceed to ask the question. I'm just going to go around the room to check for the first set of questions. I see Gomesh. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Kane. This is Gomesh from the New Indian Express. First of all, congrats on a World Cup campaign and all the best for the upcoming series. So I just want to understand, with every World Cup, there is a new cycle that starts, especially in the shortest format. And the next one is a couple of years away. Is this a beginning of a new cycle for New Zealand where they start a rebuilding process of sorts? How do you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. You often look ahead to major events, and naturally those are World Cups, and having just finished one, then you sort of work backwards a little bit, and there'll be a lot of thought going into, I suppose this is our first series after the last World Cup, and there'll be a number of series obviously between now and the next one, and you're always planning for that and looking to try and either bring some new players in that are very close to the team, and we sort of saw that even just before the last World Cup with the likes of Finn Allen, etc. So it's a fine balance to strike. As we know, the world events keep coming around quite quickly, so you are trying to make sure you plan for that well.
Can I have one more, or will we coming back?
Gomesh, we'll come back to you because I see more hands raised
thank
here.
you.
Rasesh, you can go ahead.
Hi, Kane. Rasesh here from Hindustan Times. I'd just like to know from you, is there, what are the takeaways that you sort of, trends that you picked up from the last World Cup looking ahead? Do you see there's a lot of talk about the English way of playing T20 cricket. Do you see more teams trying to do that? Or you think, the T20 templates are going to be decided based on the resources that you have?
I mean, there are so many strong T20 sides, and I think we saw in this tournament more so than any other where, on any day, anybody could beat one another, and it almost happened as well, where we saw what you would perhaps say a number of upsets, but it just showed that certainly in this format and the match winners that are in every team, that can happen. I mean, the English team is a very strong side, and they're playing, a strong brand of cricket, which is, very aggressive, and I think suits the balance of their side. And I think every team's always trying to be nice and clear on the strengths in their team and play according to those to put out their best performances. And you do see the game evolving all the time. But you also see it kind of go in circles where it goes in one direction and then comes back to another. And at the end of it, I think it's just trying to understand, what the best recipe is for the team that you're in with the resources that you have.
Thank you. Rahul Rawat.
Yeah, hi, Kane. This is Rahul Rawat from India Today. Kane, just wanted to know, there's a school of thought that says that with the amount of cricket that is being played today, you need a separate coaching staff in white ball format and test cricket, and also a different set of players in white ball cricket and test cricket. What is your view on this? And secondly, one more question. Are we going to see you next year with the Hyderabad team again?
So the first question with the volume of cricket, and that's definitely a challenge, not just for players but for support staff too. And you're sort of playing games every 2 or 3 days. And yeah, I mean, that absolutely has its challenges. So you do see a little bit more and more around the world, where formats are split. And once again, it's a balance to strike. I guess some nations with larger playing pools have more of an opportunity to do that, and then other sides have other challenges. So, you're always trying to balance that out, make sure guys are fresh, at the right times, but more so than ever, that's become more of a challenge. And in terms of IPL next year, I think announcements or, on all those sorts of things are happening in the next maybe day or two.
At this point, I'd like to politely remind everybody to just stick to your questions regarding the India Tour of New Zealand, which is happening on November 18th and will be broadcast live and exclusively only on Prime Video in India. So I request you to kindly stick to those questions, please. I see Anuj from Sportskeeda.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Hi, Kane. This is Anuj Prabhu from Sportskeeda. My question to you is more about, the captain, your counterpart, Hardik Pandya. We have all seen his journey, from someone who wasn't able to bowl in last year's World Cup. He took a break from the game. He went, worked on it, and he has become, an invaluable all-rounder. And, being his captain also, you have played against him in the IPL. He won, in the first in his first attempt, the IPL trophy. So what do you think of him as a captain, and as an all-rounder? And, where do you see Indian cricket going forward with him at the helm in T20s?
Yeah, I mean, Hardik's obviously a superstar of the game, and played against him on a number of occasions, and one of the most sought-after match winners. I think the fact he's an all-rounder and his bowling's going really well, and he can hit the ball like he does, like you say, makes him a very special cricketer. And his leadership, I've never played with him, so I don't know exactly, but he had a lot of success at the IPL. And in terms of leadership within India, I don't really know. But, they've got a number of great players, a number of really experienced players. So I'm sure that, their leadership and the guidance of that under, obviously, Rohit and the likes of Virat will be very helpful for them.
Yeah, just a follow-up on this. New Zealand did beat a full-strength Indian team in the T20 World Cup last year. But this time around, you have a new look Indian side against whom you're going to play a series. Very few, quite a few fresh faces. Some of them you have played in the IPL as well. So, what are you expecting from this series as an opposition?
Yeah, I mean, I know all the players that are involved, and I think India is a side and a nation that has an incredible amount of depth, and we've seen in international cricket that they've sometimes had to play separate teams. So there are perhaps some new looking faces, but a lot of them, if not all of them, have all had international cricket, and the talent and skill, in this side is very clear for everybody to see. So we know that they're a formidable side, and we're looking forward to the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank
you. So much.
I see Aditya Maheshwari.
Yeah, hi Ken, this is Aditya from News 18. So you have closely worked with Umran Malik in IPL. So do you think the New Zealand boundaries, the short boundaries, will help him, or do you what's your take on Umran Malik? Should India give him a big support or a big backing to go forward, as we just witnessed a bowling collapse in the World Cup?
I mean, Umran's a super exciting talent, and to spend time with him last year at the IPL and see his raw pace was, a real asset to the team, and to see him in the international scene now, has been an amazing rise for him. And I think when you've got that ability to bowl that 150 mark as a fast bowler. It's very exciting, and I think by being in the squad, clearly there's high hopes that he'll have an involvement with Indian cricket for a long time, and coming on these tours where they've got the opportunity to play more and more will certainly only help him on his journey. But fantastic talent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amol Karadkar.
Hello, Kane. For the second year in a row, you and India are going to be locking horns within a week after a high-intensity tournament like the World Cup. How do you actually get yourself right up there after a high-pressure event like the World Cup?
That's a good question. Obviously, not just the World Cup, but the schedules even prior have been busy, and it has been the case for everybody. And I suppose after major events, there's an opportunity, or sometimes there is, to have a few days and you relax, and then you come back together as a group. But as we know, the schedule is pretty full. So any opportunity that you get to play against India is always a special one, and the teams are looking forward to that. I think there's a number of players that in the Indian side that are resting, and they've brought in a number of other players. So clearly they see some of the challenges that are being faced with such tight schedules. But it's sort of the nature of the beast. So I guess last year being in the tournament for a little bit longer meant that the turnaround was quicker. But this time there was maybe a couple more days. So it's sort of the way the schedule is, really.
Thank you. Bharat Sharma.
Yeah, hi, Kane. If you can talk about Trent Bowl's non-selection for this series, is it a short-term thing, or is it a long-term thing we are looking at, considering he's been released from the central contracts?
Obviously with a moving landscape like we're presented with at the moment, players have made a number of different decisions, and Trent, being a big part of our team, has done that. And although still available, he's obviously got a few other things to focus on within the next period of time. So, there's an opportunity at the moment with other guys on the fringe to get some opportunities. And for us, building a team and growing as a team is really important. But, it's all still very new as well. So there's a bit of learning to be had, I think, over the next period. But Trent's certainly a big part, of the New Zealand cricket environment and side, and he has been for a long time. So I think it's going to be an important thing to learn and get an understand for how it looks over the next period.
Okay. Vijay Tagore, I saw you raise your hand earlier. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you just elaborate? India has rested many players. Is it a dampener for the series, if not competitively, from the point of view of the spectators?
No, Vijay, we couldn't get your question. Can you speak up a bit?
Okay, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
So my question to Kane is, the fact that India has rested some of its biggest stars, spectators, if not competitive by.
Vijay, we are not able to hear you.
Okay.
I think I might semi-understand the question. So obviously, some players resting and bringing in new players, and will that make the nature of the cricket different? And I don't think it will, although obviously the likes of the players that aren't here are big names and big draw cards, but the talent and the player depth in India certainly means that the cricket's going to be of the highest standard, and we've seen Indian teams that have had players that are resting travel the world and have some amazing clashes with other sides. So it's just a little bit about the nature of the schedule, and we know how passionate the Indian fans are, and I'm sure they'll be getting behind their team as the Kiwi fans will over here too.
Thank you. Niharika Raina.
Hi, Skipper. Niharika Raina, this side from INS. Just wanted to know your views about Finn Allen, a young, exciting opener who recently shell-shocked Australia in the T20 World Cup at Sydney. How do you see his growth since the time he has entered into the Black Cap scene, and how pivotal he is going to be in this series against India?
Yeah, Finn, is a very exciting talent, and it's been great to see him in the side and expressing himself. And you mentioned that Australian game, which made an amazing contribution and went a long way to getting ahead of the game, and that's a real strength of his, and it's natural to him in terms of how he plays. So being so young as well, you see so much potential and talent, and getting more cricket under his belt's only going to be helpful to nurturing that and continuing on an upward trend as a player. So he's looking forward to this series as well, and he certainly goes out with the intention of playing very aggressively and playing his game, and he has a lot of conviction in how he wants to go about it. So it's been great to see, and I'm sure that'll continue.
Thank you. Aditya Maheshwari.
Yeah, Kane, one more question. This one is regarding Martin Guptill, as he has been dropped from the squad. So is it the end of the road for him in the white ball setup, or he still has a chance to get into the team for the ODI World Cup next year?
Yeah, obviously, a few days ago we just finished the T20 World Cup, and Martin was very much in that squad, and playing at home. The squads are slightly smaller, so you travel with less players, and so the squad has been selected accordingly. But yeah, I mean, Martin's been, you'd argue, our best white ball cricketer ever for New Zealand, or certainly right up there. So brings a lot of really good qualities to the team, and he was outstanding throughout the World Cup, even without playing. He certainly uses his experience to get alongside the players, and I think that's equally important. So a real credit to him, and I'm sure as a player he's still, like all of us, looking to continue to improve and add as much as he can to the sport.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see Amlan Chakraborty from Reuters.
Hi, Kane. This is Amlan from Reuters. You think the success of players like England's Alex Hales, would it encourage cricket boards to send their players to play in as many T20 leagues as possible to do better prepare for the events like World Cup?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a huge volume of international cricket, and everybody's different as well. So you're always trying to understand how that looks, and if you're playing in multiple formats, then that could be a challenge. I suppose it's just understanding this moving landscape that seems to be happening at the moment, and there is more T20 cricket anyway. So yeah, everybody has a slightly different path, and Alex has been an amazing player in the international scene for actually a long time, although he sort of hadn't been involved for a few years, and perhaps due to the depth of players in England. So to see him back in the side and doing so well has been great.
Cool. Amol, I see your hand raised again. Do you have another question?
Yes, please. Can you just talk about the importance of India touring New Zealand, not just from the New Zealand cricket team's perspective, but from the overall New Zealand cricket ecosystems?
What was the end of there?
The New Zealand cricket's ecosystem. How does it feel to host a team like India for this series? What will it do for the infrastructure and the game here?
To have India tour New Zealand is always special, but also really important to the sport here, and we know how well that it's supported in terms of the support that certainly India have, but just their general love for cricket. So bringing it to New Zealand is always, a fantastic opportunity for us, being perhaps one of the smaller nations within the game, and numerous benefits from that. And as a cricket team, it's always a great opportunity as well, because the competition's fierce and they're always right up there in the world game. So a number of benefits to that.
Okay, thank you. Gomesh, do you have another question?
Yes, one last one. Ken, you spoke about the absence of trend. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the return of Adam Milne and someone like Blair Tickner, who specifically picked for the T20 format.
Adam Milne has been, a really strong performer for us for a number of years, and obviously, unfortunately, had a few injuries along the way. But every time he's come back and played, he's a super talented athlete, and when he's fully fit and firing, it's great to have him in the squad, and so it's nice that he's ready to go, and he's a great addition to the team. And Blair Tickner the same, been more involved recently in the last few years and in a number of formats, and so the bowling depth is reasonably strong, and it's nice to see some of these guys get a few opportunities.
Thank you. Bharat, you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, just one. Ken, just done with an intense tournament like the World Cup, how's your elbow holding up? And if you can talk about like playing in 3 formats in the long term, like how committed are you to 3 formats, or you plan to pick and choose?
The elbow's improving. It certainly took quite a long time, but it's feeling a lot better now. Thank you. And the 3 formats, I think as a player, generally, as you certain things in your life change, and you get a little bit further down the line, you're always looking to make decisions based on making sure you stay fresh and all those sorts of things. And I certainly love playing all the formats and the challenges that brings. But at the same time, with such a high volume of cricket, there's a balance to strike. So maybe less in terms of specific formats, but more in terms of how you do manage your time to the best of your ability, because there's a lot on, and that's for a lot of players around the world, most perhaps, that need to make sure that there is that freshness and there is that balance to make work.
Thank you. Anuj?
Yeah, just the last question about the ODI World Cup. It's there in India next year, and you have the hosts coming now, and we will play 3 ODIs too. So we have seen New Zealand surprising everyone with, by playing the horses for courses. In 2016, you played 3 spinners and Mitchell McClenaghan, and kept Saudi and Bolt out. And even this time, you surprised the hosts Australia. So do you think the preparation for the World Cup in India starts from this series, or do you just want to ease into it?
I've always been a believer that sort of addressing what's in front of you is a pretty good place to start in terms of preparation, and I think as you get further down the line, you start changing that focus. But tournament sport, as we've seen even in the T20 World Cups, you turn up and you have to adjust, and you have to look to sort of pivot and make those sorts of changes quickly, and those are sort of on the day. But there is a lot of planning that goes into that. But as a team and focusing on the plans that are important to you, and continuing to try and grow and trend in the right direction, I think is really important. So, the one-day cricket that we have between now and then, is really valuable in terms of trying to groove that.
Thank you. I have a question for you, Kane. The India squad is a relatively new and fresh squad. and they are touring New Zealand for the very first time, some of them. Is there a word of caution? Is there something that you'd like to say to them?
Say to the Indian team, I might bump into them down the road because I think we're staying quite close to them. And I know a number of the guys, and I know how talented they are, and they're a really good bunch of great bunch of people and fantastic cricketers as well. So we're looking forward to the opportunity and the challenge, and we know that it's going to be a good series, and we're looking forward to it. Anybody
in particular that has impressed you from this current squad that's traveling?
Look, I know all the names, having played in India on a number of occasions and against or with, pretty much all of them. So, and we know that they're all match winners. There's so many of them throughout, and I think that in this format, that's what makes it really exciting. That on any day, anything can happen and anybody can beat anybody. We saw it at the World Cup, and it's no different in bilateral series. So an exciting 3-match series in the T20s and also the ODIs.
Thank you. That is it from us. Amlan, I see you have a question. We have time for a last question.
Yeah, thank you. I just curious, how do you motivate yourself for the T20 matches against India soon after the T20 World Cup, and considering that there is no T20 World Cup until 24? So how do you motivate yourself for a series like this?
I mean, it has its challenges, I guess, after finishing a major event. But having said that, I think that the opportunity and the occasion to play India at home is always special. And, as cricket players, we all love the game, and you connect back to that, as best you can. And also try and look at the bigger picture in terms of, as a team, are we putting our focus into just that steady growth with the type of cricket that we're playing? But the schedule is very busy and it has its challenges.
Thank you. One last question from me again. Anybody that has impressed you from the New Zealand squad within the T20Is and ODIs?
I suppose when they're in your team and you sort of know the players pretty well, you don't get heaps of surprises, but you're always trying to gear what it is that we're doing in the direction of what we're trying to do as a collective, and that's been the best thing to see, and I think it keeps motivating players to get better. And so there's a moving landscape, and we're going to see some players get opportunities over the next period of time, which is great, and that's a great chance for them to express themselves as players, but also connect to what we're trying to do as a team.
Is there a special talent that we should all watch out for?
I mean, a number of players, I suppose. Most recently, Finn Allen's been really exciting to watch, and certainly going out there and taking the game on in his way, which has been great to see. I suppose you've all seen him in the last sort of few months as well. So I suppose we'll just have to wait and see in terms of what it looks like in the next few months.
Thank you so much, Kane, for your time, and for everybody joining us very early in the morning from India as well. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
मेरे साथ जुड़िए मनाने के लिए क्रिकेट का सबसे बड़ा त्योहार। मैच से जुड़े आपके हर सवाल का हम देंगे जवाब। जानने के लिए हर अपडेट, लाइव एनालिसिस, स्पेशल इंटरव्यूज, डाउनलोड कीजिए स्पोर्ट्स तक ऐप।